Well, it's got a very artsy background going there.
Oh yeah.
The city of New York, Boricua from the Bronx.
Aubrey Smith. I'm the director of Liza Anonymous. And I am also a commercial director for the last 10 years. And I've, have shorts and documentaries under my belt.
Nice.
And I'm Chloe Smolkin. I'm the cinematographer of Liza Anonymous. And I've been a cinematographer for about 15 years professionally. And me and Aubrey have been working together for about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
What does a cinematographer do?
Sure. Well, in layman's terms, the cinematographer is basically the person in charge of the camera and the lights. So making the director's vision happen with the lens choices and what kind of lighting it is and how everything about the camera and the lights looks.
Cinematography.
Yeah.
Aubrey, you as the director, can you break that down for us too?
Absolutely. And I'll tell you about the specific case for Liza Anonymous was that actually my a casting director, Kristen Palladino, that I work with a lot for my commercials, actually recommended me to Danielle Beckman, who plays Liza in the film. And Danielle was also a producer on the film, and she was looking for a director. Leah McKendrick wrote this script. So the dialogue and the idea came from Leah, and she wrote it for Danielle. Danielle wanted to do a short film and really use all her skill sets, and so Leah wrote her a character that plays 4 other characters. So that's how that's eventually how I became involved. Was that that Danielle really liked how I told her I would approach the film. So as the director, I saw a really big opportunity for a lot of wardrobe, a lot of props, and that opening scene when we meet Liza, we use a circular dolly track, and we had 4 different setups in that opening scene. And at the end, we used a circular dolly track as well. But that's like when I read the script, I saw that opening, and I really wanted to work on it. And so I approached Chloe, and I said to Chloe, I really want to do this short film. I think it has a lot of potential outside of a short, even to be a feature or a series. I just want to warn you, it's 2 days, and I want to do 4 circular dolly track setups. And she actually said, I think we could fit probably 1 more circular dolly track in at the end. So I was like, yes, that is exactly the spirit that, we need to collaborate with to bring this script to life.
So, based on what I'm gathering, it sounds like the circular dolly track is a challenging thing.
It
In
is
the
a
film world.
challenging thing. Yeah, it's it takes more time than just putting the camera on a tripod, but also because of the nature of the opening where we are cutting between shots of Liza, it had to perfectly match every time. So it was very carefully measured and set up so that she would be exactly the same place and the same size and frame every time.
Yeah, actually, let me also add that this is how it works. I'm like, Chloe, I really want these circular dolly tracks. Like, this is how I see it. And then, like, she's kind of like, okay, this is how we're technically going to do it, And then
Yeah.
she's like, well, we need to place the extras here. This is where they'll go in between. This is how, and knowing the distances and things like that. So I really rely on her also as a technician to help bring all of that to life.
Aubrey is very gracious in thanking all of the rest of the crew,
acknowledging
and
the people
keeping
exist.
them involved. Yeah.
We had 80 people work on this film, and
wow.
that includes supporters. So it wasn't 80 people on set at all times, but that's the credits are listed 80 people, and it really takes a lot of people to support a filmmaking career and to support a film. And so our crew was big, and we did it in 2 days. And we were able to do that also because Chloe and I have a shorthand that we work on commercials a lot together. And so, we're able to really move and work fast because we kind of like create this every month. We're doing, a commercial or more. So
um commercials like stuff we see on TV.
all of it. Yeah. There's no commercial we won't do. No, but it's everywhere. It is. So like on web platforms, we just recently did a broadcast spot for A&E. But yes, we are always, and then Instagram, there's, all over the place. Yeah.
Where do you guys think the most work is coming from these days in that field?
There are still commercials on stream. I mean, like if you have Hulu and you don't pay for no ads,
Right.
then you're gonna see our ads.
We just did a Hulu promo too, so we're there too. Yeah, I think that the ads, definitely help those streamers, and so even they're still even on Instagram and TikTok as well. But what we're finding actually from being at Tribeca Film Festival with the film, we're finding that brands are partnering with filmmakers a lot to make feature-length films or short films, and that's a really great way, because it's not about them, it's just that they're funding a really important idea. And so we're seeing that more and more, and I'd like to see more of that. I think it's a really it's branded content, but it's not. It's smarter. It's it's actually with your consumer.
It's smarter and gets in the consumer's mind in a different way. If you have, like, for example, a really fun action film with motorcycle riders and Kawasaki has provided all the motorcycles, it doesn't feel like a commercial. It doesn't feel like you're being sold something, but you might see this movie and be like, oh, these guys are so cool. I want to ride a Kawasaki motorcycle too.
Right. It's clever. It works. If done right, it works.
But also, I did a documentary that Tribeca Studios and 23andMe executive produced. And the only thing that they wanted was stories about DNA, stories that related to 23andMe, but they really were allowed the filmmakers to tell their own story, and there was no actual placement of the product. It was just simply sponsored by, and I think that's nice because the brands have a chance to tell you like what they care about, and like what their brand identity is, and like what are they supporting stories of. So I thought that was a really cool thing we saw at Tribeca Film Festival this year.
That stuff is so fascinating, the whole like genetics and checking out your background and stuff.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting. I'll just briefly tell you that my documentary was called The Need to Know, and it's about a woman who, when she was 29, found out that her father wasn't her father and she was born from a sperm donor, and she found out through the 23andMe test. So
wow.
Things that find out through that. Yeah, and then but that is I learned a lot about genetics and legislation and ethics too. But I also, like with Liza Anonymous, love comedic narrative, so it was really nice to come back to Tribeca Film Festival this year with a comedy.
Yeah, instead of the heavy stuff. So tell us about the film.
Yeah, so it's about a woman named Liza, and she's addicted to support groups, but she actually doesn't have an addiction. She is looking for belonging in all the wrong places. So she goes to Overeaters, Gamblers Anonymous, Sexaholics, and Alcoholics Anonymous, and she takes on a different persona in each support group, and her charade eventually crumbles when she's outed by somebody in the support group, and she has to learn the hard way that imitation isn't always the sincerest form of flattery. So It's a very fun theatrical journey though for her, and Danielle Beckman like plays this character so beautifully, and it's very fun to watch her because she has all different accents and clothes and uh, attitudes.
Isn't that in and of itself considered some sort of mental health disorder?
Yes, and I think that like the person who calls her out, he does say like, "What are you in a mental support group too?" And she's like, "Not currently." So there's a lot of like funny, like we do address uh, uh he calls her Tyler Durden, like from Fight Club. So we do address that. But you know, there's something also interesting, like cinematography wise, that like when she does get outed, she has a monologue. And we were like trying to, you know, I think like always with the camera in this, we've always been trying to figure out ways for you to empathize with her. Like you just said, like it sounds like she's a little bit of, you know, maybe something wrong, maybe not so empathetic. So how do you take a character that is maybe an anti-hero or doing something that is wrong, and how do you relate to her? And I think the camera visually has to do that work and get subconsciously into your mind. So, I mean, Chloe, maybe you could talk about like at the end. I know like we changed the framing a lot. Or actually, you know what? We should talk about the mirror in the confrontation scene. I think that was pretty cool to have that.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Well, like when she's being confronted about her lies, there's a part where she's trying to get real with the other character and she looks in the mirror and he kind of comes in over her shoulder, kind of overbearing, and is it's like, you're not gonna get away with this. But she, you empathize with her. It would be very easy for this character to be unlikable and just be like, oh, she's crazy. But um, between the way that Danielle Beckman played her, so charismatic, and so you really feel for her. And then also with the way we shot it, we just kind of tried to put you in her shoes at all times. Um, Without giving too much away, there's a part at
Mm.
the end where she feels like she finally belongs in a place, and she walks into this place and is looking around, and the camera looks around with her. um, and yeah, you just really, you feel like everyone feels lonely sometimes, and you kind of understand how someone could do what she's done if they were really pushed to the limit.
Yeah, and also at that last scene that Chloe and I talked about that a lot. The last scene of like, okay, we've been on this journey with her. How do we make you feel that she now has found where she belongs? And that was our last setup with the camera. That yeah, we wanted her to like look around um and kind of feel a change. We also put her in white so she wasn't wearing color. So she had been in all these different colors all before, and so she was a little more pure and trying, changing. But I just love how like uh, talking through these ideas with Chloe about like it really matters like when you dolly in, when you push out, like how that affects you. And we filled this movie with lots of subconscious
Mm.
feelings through the camera.
All those details really matter in film. Little subtle things.
Yeah, and going back to like commercials where like Chloe and I have worked on like 30-second, 15-second, 30-second, 2-minute long commercials. It's just every frame matters. Everything in that
Mm.
matters, especially like say we do have a product, it matters how it looks. So like when we're doing a short film, we're also in that mindset that like everything in the frame matters. And it's now this is a 12-minute short, but really you could freeze frame that anywhere, and I could probably say like, oh yeah, the camera did this because we wanted, we put her in the center of the dolly track so that you you know you see that all the attention's on her, and she's loving that there's attention on her in the support groups, as the camera is circling around her, like, you know. So there was one funny moment too where we were in the space, and I remember we noticed that we have everyone clap for her in the support groups.
Mm.
And I think we, like, Chloe and I both saw this frame. I don't know who saw it, but like being in the spot, we were like, oh, let's put the hands in the foreground. And like, I love, that was something that we kind of improv'd on set. And I thought that was a really nice moment. It was super effective because you get the claps in there, and then
Yeah.
you know that like she's just living for that attention.
And it's always funny to have something just pop in screen when you don't expect it.
So that's another thing.
It's a little laugh.
I'm always turning to Chloe, like, as my cinematographer. She's the first person to see it, right? So I'm always turning to her. I'm like, that was funny, right? Was that funny? Could it be funnier? Could it be funnier? Is it funnier? No, it was funny enough. Okay. And like, do we have time to do another funny take, or is it funny enough? So there's like her and I are also always like, how do we make this funnier? And then, you know, at the end of this, we also have our editor who is there also, you know, helping make it funnier. And we very much plan with our editor how to cut it together so that we're like, you know, again, making those visuals funny.
I
Yeah,
wish I saw
making
the.
every feeling as coming across as it can be, you know, like when the antagonist is confronting her, you know, he casts a shadow over her face and blocks where she's gonna exit. So it's with lighting and with body language. You're getting this feeling that he's threatening her, she's feeling threatened. It's, you know, all the departments working together.
Yeah, like for in that confrontation scene, like we had that really blocked out, and you know, on a short we don't have a lot of time, so we didn't really do coverage, so we had to be very certain of our medium, I'm sorry, our close-ups, our medium close-ups. And you know, that's it's a bold thing to do. We have to move, and I just know, like, working with Chloe, we were like, okay, if he moves in here, then it's gonna how is it gonna cut together? And I know, you know, every DP and director does that together, but it was a puzzle. It was a giant puzzle, mostly because, you know, we couldn't make a mistake either because we didn't have time to.
And there was a very small room with a one wall being all mirror. So, and you know, questions of how to hide the camera, hide the lights.
All right, right.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. That's finding the lights and the camera too. And like we talked about earlier, the two characters, they confront each other, they move to the mirror, and they like are looking at each other in their reflections, which is a nice symbol as well. Like, you know, who are you pretending to be? I've outed you. You know, they called Liza out. It was very fun. And we fit that all into a short. It was very fun.
Where did the idea come from?
The idea is Leah McKendrick's, and she really was looking to help Danielle Beckman like play many characters. So it just kind of came to her. And yeah, and that's you know, she could of course talk better than me about it, but I just know my gut reaction was more like, oh, this is fun. This is gonna be a fun script. So Liza Anonymous is on the Tribeca Film Festival platform to be able to view it. And then we're going to, you know, we'll be going at other festivals and before we release it. But right now it's there. And we were just so honored to be at Tribeca Film Festival. They told us that there were 6,000 submissions and 46 films were official selections. And we were one of those. And the premiere had a 600 sold out seat capacity. It was just really nice to get the reactions because it's a comedy, and because of COVID, like we weren't able to screen it before, and this was our world premiere. It's the first time we heard an audience laugh, and a really big audience at that. So it was a really good week for us, and we loved seeing the film on the big screen at Tribeca.
Yeah, that must be really, really awesome. One of my friends had one in there, and I had a little part in it. I was like standing in a museum. You know, that's my acting debut.
Everybody has an extra, and I put my parents are in it, my brothers, my best friends in it. You know, I try to put my animals into my own work. Like everybody, if you know me, you're probably going to be in my film.
There you go. Yeah,
My uncle, my cousin, everybody.
neighbors, you know,
Yeah, I just no one's off.
bodega, bring the bodega guy in on it.
Yeah, yeah. I actually did have my bodega guy ask for a role, and I talked to him, tell him what I'm doing. So.
The premiere you're talking about was actually live. Like, so when you said 600, you're talking about physical people, or you're talking about what was the setup? How did they do that in this post-COVID world?
It was the first in-person film festival in the Northeast, they announced, and they had social distancing, so it felt really safe, and it was outdoors at Battery Park, so that's why there were so many
600 people. Yeah, that's a big, yeah.
You only sat next to the people you came with.
Yeah, and I was sitting right next to Chloe, and we were just like, here's the moment, and
Just on cloud 9.
It was
our product.
It was outdoors, and like there was a punchline to a joke, and then a horn honked, and it sounded like it just made the joke. It was like a snap at the end of the joke. It's like help the punchline, and like her and I just looked at each other. Yeah, it's there. But and then Chloe and I were just like, this is great. This is so nice. Like, we can hear everyone laughing, and it just feels good that, how long you work on something for. And
so you film for 2 days, and then after that, how long is the process?
Well, it's a lot of planning. So there's a lot of pre-production and a lot of post-production. So although it was only 2 days, to make sure that we got the most out of those 2 days, it was a lot of planning. So, we scout the location first and get inspired by what the location looks like as well. We work really closely with our production designer, Daniel Ornitz. The three of us have to be working really close together to plan all of that out. And post was kind of fast. I mean, our editor works with us also on commercials, and I think we had like 2 rough cuts. It was done in, I was really happy with the first one, and then I just had minor changes, but it's also like Chloe and I really like have a very solid shot list. So we don't have hours and hours and hours of footage to go through like a documentary. We like, plan it out really specifically, and we have to limit our takes anyway. So, cause we packed a lot into the film. So we had to, keep moving, and just like as a TV show would, they move very fast. So it was the same kind of environment. I had a great time speaking with you about the film, and, how the director and the cinematographer work together.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it. And I'm going to check out the film.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you guys enjoy, I guess, the weekend, right? The weekend's coming up. Enjoy the weekend, and, we'll be in touch.
All right, thanks.
Great.
All right,
Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye-bye.
You are listening to the NYC Talking podcast. www.nyctalking.com. Please like NYC Talking on Facebook. Please follow Angel R Talk on Twitter and Instagram. We are NYC Talking, the realest lifestyle blog ever. Thanks for listening.